All right, so Tennessee won, left no doubts, won with style, 66-24 over Missouri. Set a new program record for 724 yards of offense in the win. Will any of that matter tonight with the latest rankings from the college football playoff rankings announced later tonight? We'll discuss right here on a Tuesday, Locked On Vols.
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, good people? Welcome into it. This is Locked On Vols, your go-to Tennessee Volunteers podcast each and every single weekday morning, a part of Locked On Podcast Network. That is your team every single day. Today's episode is brought to you in part by BetOnline. It's got you covered this season, more props and odds and lines than ever before. BetOnline, it is where the game starts. Today's show, college football playoff rankings. What's that going to look like coming up later tonight? And then we get into your mailbag questions for Twitter Tuesday. Every single Tuesday, it's when you take over the show right here on Locked On Vols. Guys, I appreciate it. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe if you haven't already. Pound that like button. The likes help with the algorithms, getting this video out for other Tennessee fans to see, so I appreciate that. And as always, thanks so much for listening wherever you find your podcast, completely free on your audio platforms. All right, so the college football playoff rankings, those come out again tonight. Tennessee was ranked number 1 2 weeks ago whenever the first round of the college football playoff rankings were made public. And then Tennessee lost to Georgia, so obviously it took a dip into the polls. So it went from number 1 to, or the rankings, it went from number 1 to number 5. Is there going to be any difference in tonight's rankings than the rankings of last week for the 1 through 4? I don't think so. In fact, I don't think there's going to be any difference 1 through 5. Why? Well, let's go look at what happened this past weekend. Number 1, Georgia won on the road 45-19 over Mississippi State. Number 2, Ohio State won 56-14 over Indiana. Number 3, Michigan won 34-3 over Nebraska. So all these are convincing wins. TCU's wasn't a convincing win, but it was on the road against Texas 17-10. Tennessee, of course, 66-24 over Missouri. That's at number 5. Now, number 6 did lose in Oregon. It lost 36-34 against Washington. And so Oregon will fall in the rankings. LSU won at Arkansas, number 7, and USC won big over Colorado on Friday night at number 8. So I don't think there's going to be any change in the 1 through 5, including Tennessee there. I think it's going to be Georgia 1. I think it's going to be Ohio State 2. I think it's going to be Michigan number 3. And then I think it's going to be TCU number 4, with Tennessee still sitting at number 5 there in the rankings. Now, where I do think kind of, every single week there's this new agenda, or there's the new theme of the week per the college football playoff rankings. What does the committee value this week? Well, the committee is going to value a one-loss conference champion. Okay, that's what the committee is going to talk about. They're going to preach it to us all throughout the 30-minute program later tonight on ESPN. And I say all that because I think Southern Cal, USC, is going to jump up from number 8 to number 6 and sit right behind Tennessee. Of course, Oregon, who was number 6 last week, did lose. So Oregon, it's right now, it's pretty much out of the picture. LSU's not going to move, in my opinion. Now, they could slide up LSU to number 6, but again, why do that? The only way LSU is going to the college football playoffs, the only chance that LSU has at going to the college football playoffs is beating Georgia in the SEC title game. Georgia's number 1 in the country. Georgia is undefeated. And if LSU were to win that football game, there's no way Greg Sankey is going to allow a conference champion from the Southeastern Conference to not represent the SEC in the college football playoffs. I know a lot of you guys got on me last week about that. I know a lot of you guys don't like that. But I'm telling you, if that were to happen, which I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to be a moot point. But if that were to happen, LSU's going. But that's not going to happen, in my opinion. So again, since the only path to the playoffs for LSU would be to win out and win against Georgia in the SEC championship game, why move them from number 7? I just don't think that makes sense. So I think LSU will stay pat at number 7. I think USC will jump up to number 6, right behind Tennessee at number 5. Now, some of you guys may be thinking, well, TCU barely won against a trash Texas team where Tennessee went out and won big over Missouri, which has a really, really good defense. And yeah, I mean, I wonder some of those same questions as well. Let's take a look at the pro football, or not the pro football focus, the college football power index. Actually, hold on one second. Let me finish this thought. The reason I don't think anything's going to move is, I mean, ESPN kind of backed, or the committee, ESPN, kind of backed itself in a hole here because it wanted to get TCU up there and get its due. And again, excuse me, TCU still is deserving. It's got a good record. It's undefeated, and it's not like it doesn't deserve to be up there. But the committee put TCU up there, in my opinion, thinking that, okay, well, this is the second week of the playoff rankings. Potentially, they got some games coming up. They can fall out. It'll take care of itself. And it still may very well take care of itself. But since you put TCU up there and they won on the road against Texas, you can't move them. I mean, you simply can't move them. Now, if it was up to the committee to get the best 4 teams in the country for the playoffs, if it started tomorrow, then you would say, okay, well, Tennessee needs to get in there because Tennessee's the better football team, in my opinion. And I believe in the committee's opinion, potentially, than a TCU. But that's not going to happen tonight. Let's go to college football, in my opinion. Let's go to the college football power index and look at what's going on. According to the ESPN college football power index, Georgia's the number 1 team. Ohio State's 2. Alabama's actually number 3. Michigan is 4. Tennessee is 5. Utah is 6. Texas is 7. Penn State is 8. Clemson is 9. LSU is number 10. You have to go Oregon is number 14. Southern Cal is 15. And TCU is all the way down there at number 16. Again, this is not what you go off of, but it's kind of a metric that I like to bring on the show and discuss some things. According to the College Football Power Index, Tennessee is given a 59.6% chance right now of making the college football playoffs. It's given a 24.5% chance of making the national championship game and a 9.6% chance of winning the national championship game. Now let's look at TCU. TCU is given a 32.7% chance of making the college football playoff. Remember, TCU still has some big games coming up, and credit TCU. It won on the road against Texas. I thought Texas might get them, and gosh, if Texas could complete a forward pass in the first half with Quinn Ewers, potentially they could have won. But you've still got Baylor at Baylor this week. You got to play Iowa State. I understand they're having a down year. And then you got the Big 12 championship game. So TCU's not out of the woods yet. But TCU, according to the College Football Power Index, a 32.7% chance of making the playoffs, 8% chance of making the national championship, and only a 2.2% chance of winning the national championship. What about Southern Cal? Again, Southern Cal is going to be getting all the love tonight. I'm a fortune teller. Let's come on the show tomorrow, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But Southern Cal, 1-loss, Power 5 conference champion. That's what they're going to be pushing with Southern Cal here tonight, okay? Southern Cal, according to the College Football Power Index, the Trojans just have a 7.2% chance of making the playoffs. Wow, how about that? A 1.7% chance of making the national championship game and a 0.5% chance of winning the national championship game. So how about that? How about that? And you might be asking, what's the difference in, you say, a 1-loss Power 5 conference champion? What about a 1-loss Clemson team? What about a 1-loss North Carolina team? Well, we'll see. I don't know. I don't have all those answers right now. I just know that you're going to be pushing, some flavor from the West here tonight, in my opinion. Let's go to the resumes real quick. Resume strength of schedule from the teams in contention. TCU has the 38th toughest strength of schedule. You've got Georgia 44th. Tennessee is number 3. Ohio State has the 60th toughest schedule. Michigan has the 82nd toughest schedule. Alabama, the 6th toughest schedule. LSU, the 11th. Clemson, 55th. USC, 65th. Oregon, 29th. And TCU, we haven't even seen them yet, right? TCU, let's do a little control F here. Oh, just kidding. Hold on. Oh, actually, TCU's up there at the top. TCU has the 38th strength of schedule, okay? So that's strength of schedule. What about the efficiencies? Okay, we do this every week. Georgia, offensive efficiency. According to the College Football Power Index, Georgia's is 5th on offense, number 1 on defense. Ohio State's is 1 on offense, number 6 on defense. Alabama's not in this conversation, so I'll skip them. Michigan is 9th on offense, 7th on defense. TCU's is 2nd on offense. Just kidding. TCU's is 13th on offense, 19th on defense. Tennessee's is 2nd on offense, 42nd on defense. Southern Cal is third on offense, 68th on defense. And just for giggles, let's go look at LSU. LSU's is 17th on offense and 9th on defense. So anyway, I threw a lot of stuff out there. In my opinion, I don't think anything's going to change 1 through 5. Then I think it's going to be Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, TCU. Those are your top 4. I think Tennessee is going to be number 5. And then I think it's going to be Southern Cal that they push up there to number 6, with the theme of the night being the one-loss Power 5 conference champion, because again, they'd have to win out, and they'd be winning some big games there if they did that. But I think that's slim to none as well. So, Tennessee got help. TCU didn't lose, but Oregon did lose. So that helps them out just a little bit. Got to watch out for LSU running the table, of course, but we will see. And there's still a path for, say TCU wins out, there's still a way TCU and Tennessee can get into the top 4. You just have to have the loser of Ohio State and Michigan. If Ohio State loses, though, man, the committee members love them. Love them some Buckeyes. So, we'll see. But if Ohio State smacks Michigan like we're all thinking is going to happen, then potentially TCU and Tennessee both could be in that top 4. So we'll get to that here in just a little bit. I know there's a Twitter Tuesday question on just that. Right there. I mean, we're going to get to your mailbag questions coming up here in just a second as we move on here on Locked On Vols. But hey, this episode is brought to you in part by SimpliSafe. Did you know that over the holidays, property crimes like burglaries and package theft spike nationally? That's why our friends at SimpliSafe Home Security are offering 50% off the award-winning security system so that more families can feel safe and secure this holiday season. Order the SimpliSafe system today for half off and enjoy the advanced security and greater peace of mind this holiday season. It's an emergency 24/7 professional monitoring agents use fact-protecting technology exclusively from SimpliSafe to capture critical evidence and verify if the threat is real so you can get priority police response. That is huge. SimpliSafe's whole home security with advanced sensors for every single room, window, and door, HD security cameras for inside and out, smarter ways to detect motion and alerts you when the threat is real. It's even got hazard sensors that detect fires, floods, and other threats to your home. So don't miss your chance to save big on the only security system that I recommend right here on Locked On Vols. You can get 50% off any new SimpliSafe system at simplisafe.com/URL today. That is simplisafe.com/locked-on-college. There's no safe like SimpliSafe. Hey, welcome back in here to Locked On Vols. It's your first listen each and every day. Check out Locked On Sports today. Make that your second listen as well. I apologize. I meant, and I just forget because I'm stupid. And this is something that you shouldn't forget about. And I didn't forget about it. I just forgot to open up the show with this. I want to offer, my thoughts and my prayers to all the people, that situation at the University of Virginia. Gosh, it is so tragic. So tragic. The lives of 3 football players, the lives of 3 student athletes gone. It's a former football player, according to the reports up there, that just went on a spree, and that is so heartbreaking. So to the families, to the teammates, to the coaching staff, to the community at University of Virginia, to the classmates, staff, everybody involved, thoughts and prayers. And our Locked On, I believe it's Cavaliers, Locked On Virginia Cavaliers show, did a great job, just kind of talking about some things that actually matter, right? And that was on Monday morning's episode. So I encourage you to go listen to that. But continued thoughts and prayers for just that heartbreaking situation. Let's get into some mailbag questions from you guys. Let's go ahead and start off with Brian on the YouTube channel. Wants to know, is Brew McCoy coming back? All accounts indicate that he is coming back. And I think that would be huge for Joe Milton. I think that'd be huge for this Tennessee offense. All accounts say that Brew McCoy is coming back. Something changes there, I'll let you know. Also, a couple of guys on the YouTube comments getting after me. We got Winter EC and Big Red 67. Both saying that essentially my A+++++ for the offensive line was bogus because the offensive line gave up 4 sacks. Normally, I would agree with you. One of those sacks, mind you, was Hendon Hooker taking himself out of the play, getting pushed out of bounds on 4th down, and he could have thrown that ball away. So one of those was on him. But still, normally I would agree with you. But I'll stay on this note right here. Hey, when you have a program record of 724 yards of total offense against the number 13 ranked defense in all the land. That offensive line, even though the left tackle position with Gerald Mincey and J.J. Crawford got whipped all night long, I don't care. You are getting an A+, plus, because that is a program record. That's just me. That's how I do it. But I did want to respond to that because normally I'd be in your camp. Yeah, I'd be in your camp. 4 sacks on a stat sheet doesn't look good. Let's go to the @_Cainer Twitter accounts, and you guys shot me some DMs throughout the day. Let's start with Bryson. Do we wear the orange helmets for USC, for South Carolina, or for Vanderbilt? I say we pull them out against South Carolina. Also, what's your thoughts on Hyatt's brother, Devin, and his chance of becoming a Vol? Orange helmets, they're going to be worn, in my opinion, one of the next 2 weeks. We've seen some players tweet about it or, put Snapchat stories and all that. So they're here. I would, let me just say this. I don't know for a fact. I would not be shocked if it was this weekend. Don't know if it will be. I would not be shocked if it's this weekend, but orange helmets on the road, I would anticipate that being a thing before this season runs out. Let's go next to, I think it's James. Oh, about Devin Hyatt as well. Sorry. Devin Hyatt, good player. Tennessee was recruiting him for a little bit. Not much juice here lately. Doesn't mean that won't happen. Doesn't mean that won't come back around. But right now, there's not much talk on there right now. So I would say the chances of him becoming a Tennessee Vol would probably be a little low right now. But as always in recruiting, things change all the time. Let's go to James. Based upon site clicks, how popular are the other UT sports, basketball, baseball, women's basketball, relative to UT football, specifically a good UT football team? What I mean is, does a comparable football article get 6 times more the clicks of a similar basketball article, 7 times more click than a baseball article, 100 times more click than something else? Not asking for a specific number, just kind of a ratio. Yeah, see, that's something, in my work, I'm trying to get more. That's kind of like management type stuff in terms of the actual numbers and deciphering, what gets this. I've gotten a lot better at it. That's kind of the next step in my career. That helps with this YouTube show. That helps with the podcast. That helps with, my work at volquest.com. I can tell you that podcasting, written work over at volquest.com, where I'm a part of, is just like the radio show when I was at the radio station. What people want to hear about, what people want to listen to and tune in for and read is anything football, as you'd imagine. So, like, if you're watching on YouTube, football is way up here. Okay. Men's basketball is considerably further down. And with a good UT football team, you just enhance that. Even when Tennessee football, has had really horrible seasons the last couple of years, it still leads the pack, and it's not even close. Men's basketball would be the next closest, but it's considerably down that level. And then it'd be women's basketball / baseball. Recruiting is also up there as well. Recruiting is up there. Probably, if we're being honest, and this might be hard to believe, but probably in front of basketball in terms of people watching recruiting videos and listening to, when I talk recruiting on this podcast, guys, the numbers are incredible. I should do more of it, especially I do a ton of it in the off season, but I should do more of it in season. Right. But it's not even comparable. I got to be honest with you. It's football by and large, then it's men's basketball, then it's women's basketball and baseball, probably on the same plateau. Recruiting would be 2. And that's just kind of the way it works. It doesn't matter. People get amped up. How much fun last year was, and it's so deserving because this baseball team's incredible with his coaching staff and Tony Vitello, and people are engaged and pumped up and fired up about it. So was I. In the grand scheme of clicks and views and all that type of stuff, it's still down there. Football's king. It's what pays the bills. Tennessee football is what allows me to do this every single day, and from you guys, tuning in to allow me to do this. So I hope I answered your question. I don't have a specific ratio. I don't have specific numbers, but essentially what you need to know is it's just not even comparable. It's football and then everything else. Just take a look at the views on this YouTube on for the podcast on YouTube. Look back, and the views were down last week as Tennessee lost. They're building back up a little bit. Sorry, guys, my voice is still a little scratched. Gotten a whole lot better, has it not? But it's still kind of work in progress here. But look at the views a couple of weeks ago when Tennessee was, beating Alabama, beating LSU and all that. And then go look at the views in April. I'm very proud of what the views were in April and May and in the offseason because that's when a podcast grows. but just go back and look at some of those views on YouTube. I say on YouTube because you can see that. You can't see the audio. And then look at where they are now. It just kind of goes to show you. All right, I wasted a ton of time there. Let's go to Trevor. Trevor says, hey, what are the odds of us getting in the playoffs with TCU winning out? And what are the odds with TCU losing a game? TCU losing a game, odds are way up high for sure. If TCU continues to win out, I still think that TCU can get in. Tennessee can get in as well. Tennessee's got to look good. The one-loss Power 5 champion, Southern Cal, maybe a North Carolina / Clemson. I just don't think that's good enough to outdo Tennessee. That's just my opinion. Michigan will have to get smacked by Ohio State to move down the rankings, but it is very much possible, in my opinion. Tons of scenarios out there, but that is still very much possible. Let's go to Eric. Eric Smith says, fortunately for us, we haven't had to punt a whole lot this year. How about that? I think his name was Craig Hendrick. No, that was the Titans' longtime punter. Hunter Smith, maybe. Anyway, whoever the punter was for Peyton Manning and the Colts, talk about the easiest job in America. He played for like 20 years, because you barely did anything. But Paxton Brooks has looked absolutely terrible all year long. I bet 75% of them have gone off the side of his foot. What's the deal? I don't know, man. It's been mind-boggling, really, because he's a veteran. He's team captain. All that doesn't have to do anything with way he plays, but he's played much better throughout his career than he is right now. I thought he had a pretty good day on Saturday. 2 punts, both inside the 20, average 45 yards. That's a pretty good day for his standards this year, for sure. I don't know, man. I wish I could answer it. That whole unit looks awful. Matt had another one blocked the other day. It's not just Brooks. It's that whole operation. Now, the coverage down there doesn't look horrible, but just the protection, all of it looks awful. So I wish I could answer that for you. I'm not a kicking coach, but it just doesn't look in sync. And so much of that is timing, right? And so much of that's being in sync. And when you're in your head and stuff, a lot of that can pay dividends in the wrong way. Last one here for segment 2, then we'll go on and answer more in segment 3. Which seniors are eligible to come back for their 6th year, COVID year, and do you have any indication on which ones will? I will be so happy when this COVID BS is behind us in terms of eligibility. It's so hard to remember. All right. So there are a lot of guys that did not go through senior day that indicates that they will be coming back. Juwan Mitchell, Aaron Beasley, Warren Burrell. Those are some that just came to mind. Okay. There's more. I'm doing all this off the top of my head here. Some of those did not go through senior day, which indicates they're coming back. Just because players went through senior day and they have another year of eligibility, that does not mean they can't come back. Trayvon Flowers went through senior day last year, decided to come back. Here we go. So I'm going to skip the walk-ons for the most part. Jacob Warren went through senior day. He could come back if he wants to. We will see. Princeton Fant went through senior day. He's gone. He's out of eligibility. Bumpus is gone. He's out of eligibility. Carvin is gone. He's out of eligibility. Page is gone. He's out of eligibility. Jeremy Banks went through senior day. He could return. I do not think he will return. In fact, I will be very much surprised, shocked even, if he were to come back to school. He could. He has another year of eligibility. However, I don't think that's the case. Darnell Wright went through senior day activities. I don't think he's coming back. He's going to the draft. Brooks is out of eligibility, I believe. So he's gone. Trayvon Flowers technically could come back, but I don't think he will. Chase McGrath is out of eligibility. Cedric Tillman could technically come, but that'd be foolish. He's going to the league. Byron Young could come back, but he's going to the league. And then Hendon Hooker is out of eligibility. So hopefully I answered that question. I know there's some that I'm leaving out, but Ramel Keaton did not go through senior day activities, which indicates that he's coming back. So that's what I got there. We'll get to more of your questions, more of your comments. That is coming up here in segment number 2. But I want to remind you guys that this episode is brought to you in part by our friends over at BetOnline. It's the number one place that you want to get all your sports action, stats, information, analysis this year. Get the latest odds, the trends for every professional amateur league out there, from football to basketball to soccer, esports. They've got it at BetOnline. Got an email from, I get these emails every single week. Heisman odds and college football playoff opportunities every single week. Tennessee, according to BetOnline right now, a 12-1 odds to go to the college football playoffs. Now, that's the 4th best odds. You've got Georgia 10-11, Ohio State 5-2 odds, Michigan 7-1 odds, Tennessee 12-1 odds. TCU's got 18-1 odds. Clemson's got 40-1 odds. LSU's got 40-1 odds. So Tennessee's still sitting, odds perspective, a really good opportunity per BetOnline to go to the college football playoffs. Playoffs. Now, if you look at the Heisman race, this is according to BetOnline, Hendon Hooker, 4-1 odds of winning the Heisman Trophy. Now, second best odds is CJ Stroud, 6-5 odds to win the Heisman Trophy. So all that and more, it's all available at BetOnline. You can head on over to the website today or use your mobile device to learn about all the latest trends and all the action. BetOnline, it is where the game starts. All right, guys, we got a final segment left here of your Tuesday edition of Locked On Vols. Can't thank you enough for taking your time when you can literally be doing anything in the world, but you're choosing to listen to me and watch me here on YouTube and take part in the show with Twitter Tuesday, Mailbag Show. Thank you so much, guys. Let's get into it. I spent a lot of time there in segment 2, so I'm going to try to go a little rapid fire here in segment 3 and try to get to as many of your questions as I can. Let's go to Randy. Eric, it seems to me that a big part of this Heupel offense is the quarterback run game. Certainly with Hooker, it appears like Joe Milton has some ability there to run as well. I was wondering if Nico can run it too. Nico is not a dual threat guy. I think he can run. He can extend plays and keep the play alive. He will run when he needs to. I think Hendon's a better runner than what Nico projects to be. I think Joe Milton's not really a runner either. So we'll see. Maybe he develops that more into his game. He's just got to get bigger right now. I mean, he's so skinny. He's even skinnier than Hendon Hooker. So I would say that he wouldn't be a big threat on the ground, but of course he can always turn into that. Sam Smith. Okay, I can just sense the sarcasm here. Little Volquester here. Let's see what he has to say. First-time caller, long-time listener. Off to a good start. Okay, and here it is. How many ice cream bars do you eat at halftime? I don't think I've had an ice cream bar at halftime at Neyland Stadium at all this year. It's so funny, man. There's so many people that go there to cover games that don't actually do any work. And yeah, I'll humble brag on myself. You guys always know how I always talk about how much I work. I mean, I'm working my tail off when I'm there doing stuff. So I don't usually waste time to go and do that. Plus, there's always a line at the ice cream machine. They only open it at halftime. It's a stampede up there, but I have not eaten any ice cream this year at the Neyland Stadium press box. Plus, the selection's not very good. I'm going to be honest with you. Let's go to, hey, Sam, come back, man. Didn't know you were a long-time listener. Hopefully that's not just a phrase. Hopefully you are listening here. Let's go to Philip. With losing to Georgia, does that hurt our chances with Dobbs? I think you mean Hobbs, David Hobbs. I don't think so. Sure, it was a great environment at Sanford Stadium, and Georgia beat the number 1 team in the country, and it was loud and everything. I mean, I'm sure that goes into the experience, but as far as winning that game for Georgia, I don't think that plays one side or the other. I mean, Hobbs has been here a couple of times, and Tennessee's been top 5 for 5 weeks now, right? But was the number 1 ranked team in the country for a week. It's about the experience, about the relationship with the coaches and all that type of stuff. So is just the game itself, I don't think that plays a factor into it, but I'm sure the environment there was good, and I'm sure that worked in Georgia's favor. In fact, it did. Alabama is 3rd place now. It's Tennessee and Georgia fighting for the 5-star defensive tackle. Let's go to Adam Collins. What's up, Adam? Seeing Eagle, baby, talons up. Do you think one loss Tennessee jumps back ahead of an undefeated TCU? I don't this week. Michigan, Ohio State has to have a loser. So could we potentially finish 3rd? Yeah, you could finish 3rd. That would allow a 2-3 matchup that's not SEC and for a potential rematch with Georgia. Yeah, if Tennessee and Georgia are both in the playoffs, Tennessee will be 3rd because you do not want that 1-4 matchup in the semifinals. That's how it's been the previous 2 times with Georgia and Alabama. If you see a rematch, it'll be in the national championship. That is my humble opinion. So yeah, TCU and Tennessee very well both could make the field. Michigan would slide down. I've said it a couple of times already, but I do think in that situation, Tennessee would be placed ahead of TCU at the 3 spot. That's just my opinion. Let's go to Ben. Why do experts say that CJ Stroud is better quarterback than Hendon Hooker? Again, I'm not Mel Kiper. I'm not Todd McShay. I'm not any of those guys. I would say probably he's done it more throughout his career. He's had more consistent success. Remember, Hendon Hooker had 3 years or 4 years actually at Virginia Tech where he was just really subpar, right? He was not who he is now. CJ Stroud's always been an animal. He's got a good build for a quarterback. He's more fluid. He looks more polished than Hendon Hooker. And this is no slight on Hooker at all. I'm just saying, I'm just trying to think like an evaluator here. I'm not I'm not a scout at that level. So I don't know. It's always been Ohio State and who. It's always been CJ Stroud and who for the Heisman Trophy. And so, when you're evaluating NFL talent, that's just kind of what it is. We'll dive deeper into that towards once we get into the draft time. Let's go over to the Locked On Vols direct messages. Let's go to Travis. All right, here we go. Is there a max amount of time a ref can stop the offense if they sub and give pause to give the defense a chance to sub? If I remember correctly in the game, this is what I talked about yesterday. Tennessee subbed at about 15 seconds or so on the play clock. That is right. I saw that on replay. The ref stayed out there the whole time and resulted in a delayed game. See, I want to have more understanding of that. I need to call. I have a couple of officials, retired officials that have officiated ball games in the ACC and the SEC and the South Atlantic Conference. And I have those at my disposal. I need to give them a call and ask them that, because that's just really confusing to me. It was, again, like I said yesterday, it was a really good move by Eli Drinkwitz, because with 15 seconds left on the play clock, that's a late sub for Tennessee. And Tennessee did sub. I think it was Jabari Small that ran off, and I think it was Jalen Wright that ran in. And Drinkwitz saw that, say, get in there and sub. The umpire walks up and stands over the ball and just allows that all to happen until it runs down. To me, that doesn't seem right, but I do know that the defense is afforded a substitution if the offense does it. But how long can we take here? Is it as simple like if you're just going to trot off the field and be slow and, lollygagging around? I don't know the answer to that. So I'm going to make a call. I'm going to try to bring that on the show later this week and try to figure it out. The way it seemed like on the broadcast, now that, those guys on the broadcast were not fantastic on Saturday. They just kind of said it just kind of was what it was. And I'm like, well, okay, but that's not really an explanation, right? All right, let's go to Eric. Eric says, what are the top 3 hottest seats in the SEC? Ooh, good question. All right, so Brian Harson's gone, okay? Number 1, I still think would be Clark Lee. I understand it's an impossible task there at Alabama. But I would say, and you're coming off a win, good for you. But what first win since 2019? That's tough, right? So I would say Clark Lee. Number 2, it's got to be Jimbo Fisher. It's got to be. His buyout is just drunk. There's so much. If it was, I need to look this up, but if it was half of what his buyout currently is, potentially you could get rid of him, but it's got to be Jimbo, right? It's got to be Jimbo. They're going to have a losing season this year. Dude's making like $9 million. It's got to be Jimbo. So I'll go Clark Lee. I'll go Jimbo Fisher. Oh, let's run down here. Not Smart, not Hype, not Beamer, not Napier. He just got there. Not Drinkwitz. He just got an extension. I mentioned Lee. It's not Stoops. That's the East. It's not Kiffin. It's not Saban. It's not Pittman. It's not Brian Kelly. He just got there. I mentioned Jimbo. Who am I missing here, guys? Really, those are the only 2 I could see being fired this year. Leach is the only one I'm missing. Leach ain't going anywhere. So, honestly, if I'm thinking top 3 in the SEC right now, hottest seats, Brian Hartson's already gone. He would have to count as, being a prorated deal in this whole question, because nobody else is getting fired unless I'm just completely blanking right now, right? Pittman's not going anywhere. Leach is not getting fired from Mississippi State. Kiffin will leave. He will not get fired. Brian Kelly just got there. Saban's safe. We'll see what Auburn does. Yeah, Stoops ain't getting fired either. So, yeah, I would just say 2 right now. I would just say 2. Excuse me. Last one. My phone died, so I can't read the question. Excuse me. All right. Thank God this is the last one, because I'm about to go on a coughing spree. Sorry, this is so embarrassing. All right, laughs. Brennan wants to know about strength of schedule, saying that he sees that's a metric used in talking about college football playoff, but what exactly is the strength of schedule, and how is it formulated? Well, let's go back to the old trusty college football power index, and let's hover over the strength of schedule. Okay, this is what it says. Strength of schedule is the rank among all FBS teams of games already played, schedule strength, from perspective of an average top 25 team. So the rank among all FBS teams of games already played, schedule strength, from perspective of an average top 25 team. So the teams that you have already played, what do their schedules look like top 25 teams, how many, that goes into effect as well. Home and away, that goes into effect, all that type of stuff. Just a big time formula that I don't have the answer for. I hate whenever you guys ask me questions and I don't have the answers to it. It makes me feel stupid. But I don't have the exact answer to that. But essentially, it's the teams that you have already played on your schedule. What have they done? Where were your games at home and away? How many of those teams were ranked? That's why Tennessee's strength of schedule is so good, because it's got 5 ranked wins. Sure, some of those teams aren't ranked now, but still, by the way, Tennessee still leads all college football playoff top 25 teams with currently ranked wins in terms of teams who are still ranked. Tennessee has the most wins among those teams. So people won't say, oh, Pitt's nothing. Oh, Florida's nothing. Well, Tennessee still has the most ranked wins according to the college football playoff rankings top 25. So anyway, hey, that is the show. Appreciate you guys, as always, for hanging out with me, joining me here on Locked On Vols. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe. If you haven't already, please help me subscribe. Let's get this video out there by liking it. Tons of Tennessee fans need to see this, of course, and need to join our family here on Locked On Vols. Hey, Locked On Sports Today. It's got the take of the day. It's got the biggest stories of the day, news from around all of the college football landscape and, all the sports landscape. That's Locked On Sports Today. Check it out. Make that your second listen right behind your first listen, which is Locked On Vols. Hey, tomorrow we will react to where Tennessee is ranked in the top 20 or the college football playoff rankings. We'll hear from Josh Ward. We'll check some Pro Football Focus as well, and we'll continue to get into our South Carolina preview. I'll have some guests on throughout the rest of the week, and all that you have to look forward to right here on Locked On Vols. Same time, same place. Let's do it again tomorrow, guys. Appreciate you. Have fun and stay safe, and we'll do it again tomorrow.